to the podcast. I'm very excited for you to meet Lynn Goehring. She is out of Hickman Mills C1 schools near Kansas City. They're a school district of about 5,200 kids, and she has done some amazing things in that district in just 10 months. That's all she's been there. She had some experience at Kansas City schools, and before that was an entrepreneur herself and was doing social media for businesses. So she's got a lot of experience to share. She's going to talk about how her 13 schools utilize social media. She's going to talk about building relationships and how schools can be competitive and you can use that to your advantage when getting content. And then she's had significant growth in Facebook and the Facebook reach they're getting. And she's going to break down some of their strategies. This is just an amazing interview to listen to grab some easy tips to help you make more sense. And I threw in a Taylor Swift analogy, which is totally appropriate because they are home of the Kansas City Chiefs. So you want to listen in today. But before you jump in, are you signed up for the free webinar that I'm doing this week? It's happening on December 14th, 11 a.m. Central, noon Eastern. It's Thursday, December 14th. It's a live Q&A discussion. So anything that you're struggling with, that you've got questions on, that you want to just discuss when it comes to social media and schools, I'd really love for you to listen in. Get signed up. The best is to come live. If you have another meeting, you will get the recording, but you must be signed up. In the show notes, I've got a link to get signed up. Also, right across the bar on the top of my website, there is a register now, and it's absolutely free. So why wouldn't you come and hang out with me? We're going to talk about Threads and LinkedIn and all the Facebook changes, Instagram Reels. We'll be chatting about it all. And the best thing is it's an hour where you just get to hang out with other people who do your job. I can guarantee you, if these little episodes give you a lot of advice, this is going to be even more so because it's in a live environment. It's like a live podcast almost. Maybe we should transfer this into a podcast, but we won't, because we want it to be confidential and make sure that you feel safe there answering any or asking any of the questions that you want. So live December 14th, noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. Get signed up today. Now let's get to this week's K-12 PR tip. All right, this week's K-12 PR tip is just on all of those email messages, Facebook messages, these things you're getting tagged in that are saying you must take action immediately. Your Facebook page has violated some terms and we're going to shut your page down. And you're like, oh my gosh, is this real? Is this fake? If I click on this link, am I going to be in trouble? Well, let me tell you a very simple tip to find out if the message is indeed from Facebook. First of all, Facebook is going to send things to your email address that's associated with your Facebook account, your personal Facebook account. So if you're just getting a message or getting tagged in something like a Facebook message, those should not be relied on solely. You should go to your email, okay? But sometimes your email you don't really know. And yes, you should be looking at the from address to make sure that that's legit. By the way, facebookmail.com is a legit site. But if you go in your settings, and I'm on my desktop, but I'm just going to go as myself into the upper right-hand corner and go to settings and privacy and settings, you actually have the ability to get into your Meta Account Center. So I'm going to click on a little blue bar that says see more in Account Center over to the left. And then when you get to that page over to the left-hand side, you're going to go to password and security. Once you're in password and security, there's a whole box of 4 things for me in security checks. And one of them is recent emails. You can actually look in recent emails for your page and see if Facebook has indeed sent you anything, security or otherwise. It goes back 2 weeks for security, 2 days for other emails. So if you get a message, follow the prompts that I just told you. Okay, we're up into settings and privacy and settings. Then we go to the Account Center home. We end up going into password and security and then go into recent emails. There you will know if it is indeed a message from Facebook where you should actually take action. I hope this tip helps. And I know the tips that Lynn's dealing out today in this episode are going to help you. So let's dig in. Good morning, Lynn. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it feels like we were just at the bar at Mosbra during the karaoke event and we were chatting away. I think we could have talked all night, but it was so nice to meet you in person.
I know I felt like I fangirled a little bit, so I apologize, but it was so nice
No.
to meet you in person. I've been following you for forever. It feels like a good
Yeah.
7 years at least.
Oh, well, that's good that you stuck around that long. I've been here almost 10. Can you believe it?
It's hard to believe.
Yeah.
It's been a hot minute.
Yes, it has. But my podcast is my favorite. And as we were talking, I'm like, Lynn, will you be on my podcast? And you're like, sure. So I'm just glad we made it happen. I've got Lynn Goehring here. You are the Assistant Director of Communications and Community Engagement at Hickman Mills C1 Schools there in Kansas City, Missouri. So why don't you, that's like a whole mouthful,
It
isn't it?
is. It is very much so.
But why don't you just share a little bit about your background and then your role there with Hickman Mills?
So I have a very wide and varied background, and since we're kind of talking about social media, I'll kind of back up a little further than kind of what I told you about. Um, Social media started like 2007-ish. So at that point in time, I was the marketing director for the technology arm of Fidelity. And there we serve the real estate industry. Think multiple listing systems, brokerages, real estate agents. And when 2007, when social media was really starting to get popular, that was starting to grow in popularity at that point in time, I brought the idea of incorporating social media into our marketing strategy to our sales team. But at that point in time, it was so new. It was like older sales guys, and they're like, it's not really a proven tactic, and it's just going to go by the wayside. Social media is not going to be anything. And I was like, I don't think you're right, but okay, we kind of let it go. And however, if you know, real estate agents were really the very first adopters of social media. And they were the first ones that really latched onto that idea, and they kind of took off on it. And of course, at the end of 2007, I went on maternity leave. And at the end of 2007, while I was still on maternity leave, my arm of the technology industry was sold, and my job got moved to Florida. So lo and behold, it's 2008, and I'm out of a job. And if you remember 2008, the world crashed.
Exactly. Yeah.
The recession hit, and it was very difficult to find a job. So I'm at home eating bonbons with not really, but with my kids and trying to find a job. And it was absolutely difficult. But it was it's like the stars and planets aligned. And I had a previous client come to me and said, hey, could you help me out? I need some help. This whole social media thing is like got us befuzzled. And I was like, yes, I would love to. And he was in real estate too. He was a technology real estate, kind of different from what I was doing, but that gave me the opportunity to really kind of dive into social media and kind of start leveraging that for business.
Okay.
So and it also gave me the opportunity to build a business and start helping small businesses use social media very effectively. And that was kind of like this beautiful thing called social media and marketing was born. So fast forward to 2016, and an opportunity presented itself for me to join Kansas City Public Schools as their marketing manager. And while my title was marketing, if you know anything about school PR, which you do, you don't do just one aspect, you do everything. So I was the photographer, I was writing stories, I was writing press releases, and I was doing social media too, plus the job of marketing. And during that time, I was using my marketing experience also to help kind of increase our the consistent flow of students into our school district. So Kansas City Public Schools is one of 2 school districts in the state of Missouri that has charter schools. So we continually compete with charter schools to keep enrollment. And so my job or my goal was to not dip below 14,000 students. And during my time, we not only stayed above 14,000 students. When I left, the enrollment was at 15,500. So
Awesome.
one of the very first things I did when I got the job was, okay, social media for schools is totally different. Well, not really, but kind of different than it is for businesses. So I went to go look for industry people who were out there, and I met Andrea Gribble, and that's when I started following you. So that's why I have this like love affair with you. So I started reading up, and that's it kind of like shifted the way that we did all of our marketing strategy, and what was our communication tactics, and what did we do. And it worked. What did we put out there? What kind of messaging did we do? And like, well, how do I fight back against, no, we're not putting out another announcement flyer for this stupid board meeting. People know when the board meeting is. We're going to do things that matter.
Right.
And that's kind of like the background. The opportunity came for me to come to Hickman Mills to go from a marketing manager to the assistant director position, and kind of get back to doing what I love, which is getting out and showcasing what's the awesome kids are doing. And that's what I'm here and I get to do. Coming here, Hickman Mills really had it's kind of like going back in time a little bit. They really didn't have social media.
Okay.
They when Justin Robinson, who is the director of communications and community engagement, came, they had a Facebook account, but they weren't really doing a whole lot with it. And the schools really didn't have Facebook pages or Facebook accounts either. And so whenever I came and I interviewed, I was like, y'all need to get on the boat, because you're missing out on communicating with all of your families. And the folks that I was talking with and interviewed with, they were like, yes, we agree with you. And so that was kind of the first thing that I did whenever I came on. And that was kind of my first priority, was creating really social media for all of the schools, and for kind of revamping what we were doing for the district as a whole.
Okay.
Because
So a quick question. When did you make the transition from Kansas City schools to Hickman Mills?
end of January, beginning of February. It was
Just this
January
year.
28th this year.
So just we're in 2023 right now, for those of you that are listening in the future. So you've been there about 10 months.
10 months.
Okay. And so you've made a lot of changes, and I know that you've had a lot of success too. So we're going to jump into that. Hickman Mills, how many students do you have there, K through 12?
A little over, about 5,200,
Okay.
5,200, 5,300.
So that's awesome that you guys have two positions then, because sometimes you only get one with 5,000
Right.
students. But with one person being a director, like, I just did an interview with Caitlin Brown, and she came on as that second person, and it made all the difference in the world. So I definitely believe in that. But I love when we were having our conversation of you just really being able to go into that interview and telling them, look, you're missing all of this. This is what I would do if I were you. And you really laid it all out there, right?
Yes, absolutely. I was like, you're missing all of this. You're not talking to all of these families. You're not talking, families still live on Facebook. They didn't have Instagram for the kids. Kids want to see pictures of kids on Instagram. And eventually, we're talking about even getting to the point of having an intern so we could do some TikTok. Kids want to see themselves on TikTok even.
Mm-hmm.
And, they were doing a lot on Twitter. No one cares about Twitter. Okay. You're doing Twitter. It's for your own self.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not growing anything. Parents don't care.
Right.
So are you doing it for yourself? Or do you really truly want to do some kind of purposeful communication? And I said that in the meeting, and Justin, who I've known for a really long time, just kind of looked at me and he's like, okay, you need to slow that down a little bit. I was like, seriously, Twitter is only for those that are already in education. And so it was they were like, yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So I kind of like outlined already, this is what we need to do. And I think that was very helpful from that perspective.
Yeah, you're the second person that I talked to, I think in Missouri. A lot of great school communicators in Missouri. Shout out to Mosbra, because I was just there, which was so much fun. But I think it's really important to be able to go in there with, hey, some thoughts, and just to be able to, and that helps you get the job, which was critical in your case. So this analogy came to me last night, Lynn, when I got up to go to the bathroom and then I couldn't fall back asleep. A school not properly using social media is like Taylor Swift having a concert with no microphone and no arena. So, like in the middle of a field, okay?
Mhm.
There's thousands, hundreds of thousands sometimes showing up. They can't hear and they can't see her. That's what's going on in your schools. There's this big audience, within your community, your families, even staff members, but then the extended communities of grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles and friends that would love to be able to see all the great things happening. And I
Mhm.
like to think I'm a good singer, not as good as Taylor Swift, but hey, if we can get those stories from our schools in front of more people, isn't that more helpful? So the arena and the microphone, I mean, that is Facebook and Instagram, and I know it's not Twitter in your community. Maybe some communities have latched onto Twitter. Awesome. Maybe it's LinkedIn, maybe it's TikTok, but those can amplify your messages. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. And considering we're the home of the Chiefs and, Taylor Swift's boyfriend, it
Right.
perfectly makes sense.
Yes, exactly. And they were on TV last night. I don't even know who won, but um, so So let's dive into really the social media channels that you now are running. You're only 10 months into your role. You've made kind of an overhaul with social
Mhm.
media being your focus. So 5,200 students, how many schools, and then what kind of channels are you running? Are you running them all? How does that all work?
So we have one high school, we have an alternative school. So, and then we also have um, I'm not sure how do you explain it. It's a children's place.
Okay.
It's a program that's with one of our local hospitals for
Okay.
those children who are yeah, that have some mental health issues, but we want
Okay.
to make sure that they're also getting their up make sure that they're also getting the education that they need at the same time
Okay.
that they're having some mental challenges.
Okay. Awesome.
So we have like really three high school programs, but one
Okay.
full high school.
Okay.
And then we have two pre-K programs, and then eight elementary schools. So a total of 13
Okay.
by the time all said and
13
done.
schools. Okay. Awesome. All right. And
Um,
how does social media work?
so we have Facebook, Instagram. Every school has Instagram, minus our hospital program. We don't
Okay.
we don't do any social media for them,
Okay.
because we don't show any kind of school. We don't show any faces or anything along
Yep.
that line. And then we also do Twitter.
Okay.
Our teachers love Twitter.
Yep.
So, but we also have our own branded version of Parent Square.
Okay.
So our teachers are starting to utilize Parent Square a lot more from that perspective to
Okay.
showcase out some of the things that they're doing on a daily basis as well.
Okay.
And what I do is I manage the district side of things. And then when we have big district things like Thanksgiving break, when we have no school for professional development, when we have Veterans Day, when we have big, we have preset holidays for the major religions that we've decided on as a
Yeah.
district. I go through and then I post for all of the schools
Okay.
for those as well.
Okay.
So
So,
otherwise, I try to stay off the school web pages so they really push their own stuff. I try not to stomp on their feet too much.
okay. So you run the district Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and then each of the schools has their own Facebook and Instagram.
Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
They have all three. And who's running those at those schools? Does it vary of who's running
It
them?
varies. We
Okay.
have family school liaisons
Okay.
who are some of the schools do that. Some of the schools it's the media specialist or librarian. Some of the schools it's the assistant principal.
Okay.
Like we have one school, one of our elementary schools, it's the assistant principal who does an excellent job.
Okay.
Um,
It's more about the person and their passion for social media and their skills versus their role.
right, right. It's all about finding the right person who's going to go on and take it and do it versus what their title is.
And how well do you think they're managing their pages? Are they frequently posting or some are better than others, or how does that work?
Some are better than others.
Mm-hmm. Which
We're
is,
still work. Yeah, it's considering I'm 10 months in.
yes,
I have to keep reminding myself I am 10 months in.
you are baby steps. And then as you can keep going, I mean, that's really
Yeah.
critical. So,
Yeah.
perfect. Give yourself some grace there.
Yeah.
How do you get content then for your district pages?
We I go and I ask on a regular basis. I every time I see a principal, every time anything happens in a school and I go and I visit, I'm like, hey, reminder, if anything happens in your school, even if you have a teacher that's blowing something up, just let me know. And if I don't have anything else coming on my calendar, I will be here. I will grab my camera, I will come and I will take pictures. And then there are several April we hosted, well, it was actually beginning of May, but we did our teacher of the year. So as
Okay.
I was going and taking pictures of each of the teachers of the year, that gave me an opportunity to meet 12 of our teachers. And every one of those teachers, if you have anything going on in your classroom, let me know. I will come and take pictures. So a couple of them, like one of them called me, she's like, it's W Day, it's water balloon day. If you want to come take pictures of us throwing water balloons, yes, I will be there. And I came and I took pictures of water balloon day.
Mm-hmm.
And several of her teacher friends were like, how did you get her to come out? She goes, I just sent her an email. That was it. It was something as simple as that. And I one of the other ones is like told us, and he's actually the project lead the way teacher, and he's like, oh, I've got a couple, we're testing our robot this day. And I was like, I'll be there, and so I was there to take pictures of them testing the robot. It's just that it's building those relationships.
Yeah.
However, what I have found works really well is that our schools are very competitive. So as I start posting pictures of Compass did Turkey Day, and they sent me pictures of their families eating Thanksgiving dinner together, then they're like, well, you always show pictures of Compass. Why aren't you showing pictures of our school? You're not sending me pictures. If you're not sending me pictures, I can't post, or
Right.
you're not telling me about it, or whatever the case happens to be. Well, then all of a sudden now I'm getting pictures and here's a little brief description. Well, now I can post those pictures. And one of our middle schools, we have two different middle schools. One of them got tired of always seeing the other middle school pictures. And so guess what? She finally sent me, she goes, here's some good news to share. And boy, let me tell you what, I made sure I posted those pictures.
Right.
So
I love it. So it sounds like you use a combination of going out yourself and also having people submit to you. Do they just
yes,
use your regular email address or how do they submit those?
we actually have a communication request form.
Okay.
So sometimes they either email them to me or they can submit them through the communication request form.
Okay.
And that whenever they submit them through the request form, then it gives us we ask them some very specific questions so we get all the details.
Yeah.
And when we get the details, I'm able to write up a quick story, and then I'm able to put it as a blog post, and then it gets a little bit more detailed after that.
Right. Well, I love that you talk about building relationships. And if you've listened to this podcast for a long time, you know that that's key. Um, just getting out there, building the relationships, but then also, like you said, show up. Somebody when I was in Missouri, they're at the Mosper conference. They're like, this might seem really basic, but just like show up, because then you're going
Mhm.
to get more content and build those relationships. And then also love that you mentioned that, yes, schools are competitive. So you can't share stories that you don't get. So you need to remind them, hey, we've got 13 schools. I can't be everywhere all the time. I'll do my best to get there. You can invite me, but guess what? I bet you have a really great cell phone with camera in it, and you can send me pictures. So that's awesome. Now, do you watch the social media pages from the schools at all, and do you ever pull content from there over to the district page or not?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I will happily steal stuff if I don't have anything, if I'm like desperate to showcase, or if there's like a school I haven't highlighted in a while, I will go over to either their Facebook page, or I'll go over to a couple of their teachers' Twitter pages and
Okay.
go see what I can find from a Twitter perspective, because sometimes it'll be on Twitter, but it won't be on Facebook. And then so I'll just take it from Twitter, and then I'll give them credit, or
Do you
I'll email them and ask them if I could share it on Facebook.
Okay. Do you keep a formal track of like how often you're posting certain schools, or is that more just of a gut feel of like, oh, it's been a while since I posted anything about them?
I started off keeping track of who I was posting on a regular,
Yeah.
and then I had said something to my director about it, and he's like, don't waste time.
Yeah.
Just keep
You,
it kind of a gut feel.
yeah. Yeah. Gut feel is fine. And I mean, you're 13 schools, you're not 42. So it's a little bit easier for you. But the big thing is, hey, you want to get those stories out there, but they got to be sent to you. So, you in your 10 months have found a lot of success in growing your monthly reach on Facebook. You were
Mhm.
sharing some numbers with me. So I want to know what has been your strategy for growth on Facebook.
Our biggest thing that I found that has worked the best is not so much putting out the flyers of whatever the flyer happens to
Right,
be,
fundraiser or
fundraiser
yeah,
or spaghetti dinner or board meeting or anything like that, right?
yeah.
Now, I will say, like we are doing Native American Month right now,
Mhm.
right? And we actually have a fairly decent amount of Native Americans in our district. And so we are getting some good feedback from that perspective. When we did some of we have a very large immigrant population. So when we have a Ukrainian population, we have some other populations that have immigrated over, refugees, etc. So when we do those different holidays, we get, whatever it happens to be, we get good engagement from those kind of things.
Yeah.
But whenever it's a board meeting notice, nothing.
Yeah.
But when I mentioned back in April when we did Teacher of the Year, we also did Staff Member of the Year. And I went through and I took pictures of each of the teachers of the year from each building, and then the staff person of the year at each building. And then we posted, and I posted at the district level, and I posted at each of the buildings. Oh my gosh, our engagement was off the chart. Our engagement and our reach was amazing. Our our families love seeing their actual building people. They love seeing their principals, they love seeing their teachers, they love seeing their staff members, and
Mhm.
they love congratulating Miss Jackie Rose from Ruskin, because they know that she's just a fabulous secretary. When every time they call in, they know that she's just going to be so personable. You
Yeah.
know, they love congratulating those people. And that engagement and reach was just off the chart. That was our April was our highest month yet. October was really high because it was principal month, and
Yeah.
we went through and we recognized each of our principals.
So
Um,
tell me what high is. Like, what's your following on Facebook approximately? And we're gonna have links to all your district social media channels in the show notes. But
um, you're gonna ask me that, and I don't know offhand.
well, and I was thinking that
I think it's
you
like 4,000 or so. Let me go
okay.
look. We have 4,600 followers.
Okay, 4,600 followers. And then in October, how many people did you reach in the month? Do you know?
Uh, in October, we had a 30,000 reach.
Yeah. So that's awesome. I mean, that's 6x, over 6x of what your followers are. So 30,000 different people saw at least one post from your district. And I'm assuming that when you started, you said you barely had a Facebook page. So I'm assuming it's that you didn't have much reach then.
Yeah, yeah, it was not great.
Yeah. Is there any other types of content that really does well for you in addition to like the teacher and the staff recognition and then like
We've,
the principal month stuff?
we've been doing I posted some videos.
Okay.
I'm not the best videographer, so
Yeah.
I want to qualify that in advance. I've been teaching myself,
Yes. And you
so
don't have to
hey,
be perfect, right? I mean, that's the thing about social media, especially like Instagram Reels and things like that. You don't have to be perfect. People just like to see inside the classroom.
exactly. So for when we did the big kickoff for the Chiefs season, I went to each of the elementary schools and high school, middle schools and high schools, and then I captured all the kids cheering on the Chiefs. They had banners and signs and stuff, and I put together like a 3-minute video and posted that, and we cheered on the Chiefs.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So that was kind of fun. And then we had a student who was named by our Kansas City Royals as the urban youth of the year. So made a video for that, and we're just looking for things that are impactful, purposeful, just different ways. We're trying to find ways. We have a graphic design program here with our students, and so we're looking at the second semester of getting some interns in to see about having them help us make some videos. Again, going back to either whether it's TikToks or some reels or some whatever the case happens to be. So finding ways that we can just kind of keep getting our families interested, but also get some of the kids interested as well.
Yeah.
And the secondary piece is Hickman Mills is a very small community, but it's very tight knit. And I guess I realized that because I grew up here, but at the same time, I kind of forgot that because Kansas City was so big. And the community just loves it. And I think that's the reason why our reach has grown. The We have so many alumni that actually work for us, and that the alumni they follow us from all over. And so the alumni keeps coming back and follow, um, they keep engaging
Engaging with your posts, yeah.
and engaging with the post, and yeah, it's just, I think it's, but the fact that we're continuing to find different ways, whether it's, showcasing what's happening with like we just had a Fox 4 teacher of the month for November, and it's one of our teachers that's been here for 26 years. And oh my gosh, the amount of comments that we're getting off of that has just been amazing, because from people who've had her for 26 years ago.
Right.
So it's just been wonderful to see
Yeah.
how the community's come around for it.
So, you were in the business world and had a lot of success with people using social media for business, and then now you're in schools and have had a lot of success there. You know, um, aside from, some of the training that myself and maybe some other folks put out there in regards to schools, there's not a lot of training on
Mhm.
how, schools should use it. So a lot of people might be following more business. So from your standpoint of knowing both worlds, what would be the 2 or 3 things that are very different about a school social media strategy versus a business? Can you answer that? I know I'm putting you on the spot with that question, but
I was actually thinking about that this morning.
yeah.
I think businesses, you're really trying to get people to buy something, and you're not, for school, you're not looking to buy, you're looking for people to get engaged.
Mhm.
I always told my clients that you try to get people interested and you want to showcase enough that you are the expert in what you do without giving away the farm,
Mhm.
right? And so you have to, like, you write a blog that showcase gives them enough information that sells you as the expert. But and that's what social media does, right?
Mhm.
But in education, you want to give away the farm. You want to give away everything. It's two different ways of thinking about it. Um, you're not trying to sell something, you're trying to educate.
Mhm.
That's I think a really big piece of it. And you're also trying to get people to come be a part of it and feel welcome
Mhm.
and just feel informed and um, just like be a part of the overall like community,
Yeah.
of whether it's the community of your school or whatever. Whereas business, it's really you know I think the best businesses just make you feel welcome, and they're successful that way. But most businesses use social media to sell,
Right.
and they see it as social media is successful by how many widgets they sell, when it's really not that. The clients that I found, we were always the most successful whenever we showcased and we had value add, and that's
Right.
how we were able to do the best business.
Yeah. About so just like looking at Facebook, because that's usually the number one platform that a lot of schools are using. About how many times a day are you posting on your district channel then for Facebook, just to give some people some frame of reference?
We post like twice. We don't
Okay.
post too many times.
Yep.
The other day we post 3 times because it was
Okay.
like we had a board meeting and I knew that wasn't going to perform very high. So then I posted 2 more times after that.
Okay.
So I
Um,
posted that early in the morning, and then I did like a late morning and then a later in the afternoon. I haven't, and then like timing wise, I haven't been able to really find a time that there's a performance one better than the other
mhm.
for our district yet. I figure hopefully soon I'll be able to find that there's a time that something performs better than the other, but I haven't
Right.
found that yet.
Yeah, and it's you kind of have to just play around with that. So, as we wrap up, what would you say is your best social media tip?
I love Planner. I hate the fact that Meta likes to change stuff on a regular basis,
Right.
but I love Planner. And I will tell you, I take Mondays. Mondays are my social media days. And I go through and I gather all of my gear and schedule out my post. And I always have to explain to people who come in, they're like, and like I had somebody yesterday, why haven't you done my world culture night? I didn't see my pictures yet. Blah, 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 blah. I understand that, but I schedule out my post for the whole week unless something crazy comes along.
Right.
And I had world culture scheduled for this week, but I go through and I gather everything on Mondays and I do it all out. So I use Planner as my scheduler and I just plan it all out on one day. Um, that gives me kind of a break from that perspective. And then Twitter has now the opportunity for you to go through and schedule out too.
Right.
So if you don't want to go and pay for a Hootsuite or something else, you have some free options if you're like us, a smaller district, and you can't afford to pay for something along that lines. Um, the secondary thing is like whenever I go and I visit a school, I actually, and I'm there for something very specific. Like I was at the high school for the teacher of the month, or teacher of the month. I went and took pictures, and then I'm there with my phone and my notes, and I'm taking notes about whatever was going on in the classroom and what they were studying. So later on, I can use those pictures to do a post later on about something else.
Yeah.
And then I went to go hit another classroom while I was there that was doing something interesting. It was a life science classroom, and took some more pictures. It only took me like another 10 minutes,
Right.
and took some more notes. So then later on, that way it became evergreen. It didn't matter that it was happening. If I post it right then, or if I post it a couple weeks later, it's an evergreen post. So just trying to find things that I can use and pick up and place later on whenever maybe I have a drought of content coming in from schools.
Yeah, definitely. And Planner is right in the Meta Business Suite. So you can
Yep.
schedule out your posts on Facebook, you can schedule out your posts on
On
Instagram.
Instagram. Yeah, I do both. And I've tried changing my my my
Captions.
messaging.
Yeah.
I've tried changing it, and I haven't really seen too much engagement wise. It hasn't really changed much. So I've actually just saved myself. I just use the same message
Yep.
for
Yeah, you
both.
just got to make sure that the images are square, right? So that they fit
Yeah.
okay in Instagram. And obviously you're limited then to 10 pictures, but I do the same, Lynn. We only have so much time during our day. And as my
Mhm.
book's tagline is all about keeping your sanity. So we've got to do that as well. Well, geez, we could talk all day about social media and schools. You're doing amazing things there in Hickman Mills. And I just wish you the best. We should probably talk in another year or two because you're going to be that much farther in your journey there.
It's such a pleasure to meet you in person, and it was great just to. I didn't mean to fangirl, but
Well, thank you so much. It means a lot to me that what I do and what I love to do is to really help people. And so to know that it has helped make a difference in your community is just so, so meaningful. So thank you for sharing that gift back with me. Now, what's the best way for people to stay connected to you? Maybe they want to get more information or just meet up or have other questions.
I actually check my email on a very regular basis.
Okay.
And my email is Lynn Goehring Goehring at hickmanmills.org. And
Okay.
that's the best way to reach me. I check it on a regular.
Okay, so we'll make sure we also link that. If you didn't write it down, we'll link that in the show notes. Lynn, thank you so much for
Thank
hanging out with
you.
us. Keep up the great work there, and hopefully we will see you again soon in person. Everybody, have a great rest of 2023. Can you believe 2024 is just around the bend? I literally cannot because this year has flown by. But just keep telling those stories, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye.